What's up, man?
All right, are we on?
Yeah, we're not live or any of that, so don't worry about
Happening.
that. Not much, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Cool.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle and Business Show. Today we're going to be talking with one of our powerful clients, Mr. Troy Duckowitz, who is a chiropractic coach, but he does this in a very unique way. His priority is not only growing your business, but growing your lifestyle at the same time and making sure that you're making your life specifically at home with your family and, just keeping that focus there. But he really wants his people to grow, grow in their life and grow in their business and not sacrifice one or the other. So Troy, welcome to today, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. Let's do this.
Yeah. So, you've been in the program, what, about 3 months, 2.5 months?
Yeah.
And, let me ask you this, prior to you even, talking to me, prior to any of that, before you started our program, what were you struggling with prior to joining Habit-Based Lifestyle?
Well, I'd say, the thing is that to say to struggle would say that I was actually putting an effort in. So I can't even say I was struggling because I wasn't even doing the work on the marketing side. I dove myself into, especially in 2020 with COVID, I dove myself into producing for my clients because I was so driven to make sure that they were growing through the pandemic. I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure they were growing through that I took my eye off of my business. I took my eye because it was, you just said it, like it's family and business. So like I'm focusing on my family first, and then I'm focusing on my taking care of my business, the people in it, but not taking care of the business, the marketing side of it. And so for me, it was like, I wish I could say I was struggling because I wasn't even doing the damn work. And so then it became the awakening at the end of the year when I was like, dude, you've completely taken your eye off the ball here. You got to do something from a marketing perspective. Like you got to get out there. And I will say in the past, I struggled with it because I would go out and try some things that somebody would talk about, which intuitively made sense to me, but they didn't resonate necessarily within my soul. So it was a complete contradiction, which means it was doomed from the get-go. And so I would kind of put my foot in somewhere, and I would do the work because the coach told me to do the work, but it just wasn't resonating with me. And so then I
Okay.
pull back and I go down a different direction. And so then it hit the end of 2020. I realized like, damn, I either have a hobby here or a business. And I'm not like, I have a hobby of going boating. I don't have a hobby of a business. So I love what I do as a coach. So if I love it with that much passion, I better be making sure that passion is infecting other people and go do the things that I've been telling other people to do. This happens. So everybody knows it happens to coaches too. Like go do the shit you're telling other people to do. And so then, fortunately with my mind spinning, I'm not even doing marketing. I need to do something to focus on my business again and my life, and really just push past another level that maybe I hadn't even seen for years.
Sure.
Hopefully that
So,
explains it well enough.
yeah, yeah. So, I also want to talk a little bit, we have a history together where,
Yeah.
I coached you inside of Wake Up Warrior. Um, and what I think is, what you're saying is like, hey, I've kind of sampled in a lot of different
Yeah.
programs
It's a better
uh,
phrasing.
that were like, hey, do this, do that. And the one thing that I'll say is, not a lot of other programs have a system on how to actually produce the result you want. And so in that, I feel like sometimes we struggle with knowing exactly what we need to do to get the result we want. And, I think sometimes that is what discourages us when it comes to marketing, because here we are trying something, but then we don't see the results right away, or even maybe not, sometimes not right away. Can you talk a little bit about that from past experiences?
Well, I mean, one of the obvious was, being told to post anywhere from 4 to 6 times a day. And so I'm uber focused on posting 4 to 6 times a day. I'm thinking the stuff that I'm posting is fantastic and there's no eyes on it. And and you've said this before, and I've heard before, like don't, and we just talked about this actually, right? Where it's like, hey, just because nobody's liking or sharing or anything like that doesn't mean people aren't watching. But there gets a time where it becomes frustrating because it's kind of like, throw me a bone. Somebody, hey, somebody out there, let me know you saw this,
Yeah.
and like nothing's happening. And so that was probably the biggest thing. And like, I know, and the thing is, I also know there were other pieces that I was letting fall short. And that is like I've mentioned this to you earlier, like going out and friending people on Facebook. Like I got booted off of Facebook right before COVID. I had a great streak of a week long of really good memes and comedy that I was bringing out there about COVID, and Facebook or somebody didn't like it, and I lost my entire account. So now I had to turn around and start fresh, with 0 friends, starting over. And like, I just didn't want to put the effort into it. So I got up to about, 1,000 friends over like a 6-month period of time, while I'm also running engagements, knowing that there's a piece of the puzzle that I was missing. Like, you got to get more people. I know a lot of people. I've been in chiropractic for a long time. I've been blessed to be able to speak on some of the biggest stages in our profession. So, I mean, I've been able to have a following, but I wasn't even pursuing that following. So I'm over here thinking I'm doing the work. I understand it innately, but then over on this other side, I'm not doing the additional work that was necessary, getting more friends, getting more exposure, letting people know like, hey, I haven't died. COVID didn't do me in. I'm still here. And that's probably the biggest thing. And so I just kept pushing the material, right? Thinking like, well, I do have, man, people do know me. I'm just going to put out more shit. Yeah. And I just kept putting more stuff out there. And it's like, man, that repetition ain't working. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're not getting eyes on it and Facebook keeps changing the algorithm, you're screwed. You're just putting out information that hopefully people are seeing.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest one, is that I just kept thinking more was better. And now I don't subscribe to that at all, based on what you taught me.
Yeah. I mean, I think people have the spray and pray strategy, right? Yeah. We just spray a bunch of content and then pray that someone's going to come in from it. Let me ask you this, man. You've been in the program 2.5, 3 months. What has been your results so far? Let's talk financially, and then we'll get into kind of some of the other results that you've gotten along with that.
Yeah, I mean, and let's hit the timeline first, if that's okay, so people can kind of understand. I mean, I joined in February. I really didn't get going until March.
Okay.
Basically because we moved right in the middle of it, and a move that we thought was going to be easy was shitty because we got snow in the Midwest that usually melts the next day, and it didn't. And then we had dipping temperatures. We had canceled moving crates, like mass chaos. So I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and tuning in my habit-based lifestyle videos. And then I'm going and moving for 12 hours for an entire week, like 7 days straight, like just mad craziness. So when I joined, I dipped in on the videos. I got in trouble by my coach because I was going too fast, which I'm very thankful for that, because I'm a person who, when I go into a program, I just want to start consuming the information, consume it, and go do the work. But it's the wrong mindset, because the mindset is, if I do the work faster, I'll get results faster. And so that was a kick in the nards that I needed, because I just stepped back and I'm like, all right, cool. He tells me, I started over, went back to video 1 and just kept watching. And then I rechecked my work. Now, anybody who's a driver knows that's annoying as shit. Because now I'm just rechecking my work on this material, but it was the best thing I could have done, because then when I came out of our move in mid-February, it was kind of like game was on. It took me I'm like, look, full disclosure, folks, I'm one of the most organized people in the world. I'm a scheduled, rigid person, not rigid, but I have things planned out. And even after that move, it took me about a week to get back into rhythm. And then 2 weeks later, I'm already having phone calls. And so and I say that to be like, I'm not an excuse person. I'm saying like, look, this was my start. So like, if I look at how long have I been in the program doing the actual work, it's probably been right at 2 months as of even like today or this past week.
Okay.
But I started the official start first week of February, but I want to set that up because so many people would use that as an excuse not to do the work.
Sure.
They would have bailed after that, and then they would have used that as a crutch moving forward. And I know somebody watching is thinking that. They would have used it as a crutch moving forward, and then they would have blamed you for not getting the results, and it's bullshit. The person that's going to get the results is me doing the work. And so I just put my head down, being inspired by other people in our group, seeing them getting results, leaning in and listening to what they're doing, and then making sure I'm going and doing what's expected of me. And I'm a little bit obsessed. So like, we're supposed to do 8 tasks a day. I tend to do 12 to 16. I tend to take those tasks and try to double down on them. Again, I know more is not better, but the thing is that if I'm trying to increase, I don't post 8 times a day. I post once. That's it. I didn't even post for my anniversary with my wife this year, because my Facebook page has turned into, it is solely for the purpose of getting out there so I can get in front of more people, so I can help more docs to create the very life that you and I are talking about.
Nice.
I didn't post for my mom's birthday. I didn't post for Valentine's Day. All that stuff got pushed away because Facebook is not a methodology for me to go in there and just be social. It's a way for me to go in there and find a way to help to change more lives. So I completely have shifted that mentality. And in that time frame now, as we sit here today, I don't know the exact numbers, but in the last 6 to 8 weeks, it's right. I believe it's like 53 to somewhere between 53K and 60K in 2 months.
Okay, awesome. Hey man, like what I really heard you say is I committed and go. I commit and go, just like your shirt. And so the whole time you're saying that, I'm like, bro, no wonder you have a business called Commit and Go. You know, so I think what's cool about what you're saying is like, listen, for first 30 days, you know, I just committed and go. But sometimes in that, you know, like you said, is, hey, if this is good, then obviously more is better. And I think we get into that mentality, but sometimes what we see inside of that is burnout really quick, because here you are, you know, consuming, you know, 2 to 3 times more than you need to. And what I started to see was, you know, you were committed, like there's no doubt. And I know you well enough to know that you're a committed guy. But what I was seeing is you were doing the work. You were like doing the work, but not actually putting it into action. And that's why I was like, hey, you know, I know you're making it through this really quick, but let's slow down and back up. And what was really cool is you're like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And you went back and you kind of checked your work. And then you started really laying the foundation almost in like railroad tracks, like just one by one. And then it was like, once you did that, it was like it all clicked into place. And then you just took off from there.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, like, one of the biggest things for me, when you said that to me, you said, I don't know if you remember this, you said, dude, I've seen a lot of people come and like just blow through the videos right away, thinking they're going to go kick ass. And those are the people that usually like fail. Those are the ones that don't make it through the program, because they're just checking boxes along the way. And because the attitude is, and I'm going to say this, because I know this already, like there's material I've sat there and gone through. I'm like, shit, I know this. I teach this. And it's like, well, okay, asshole, then why aren't you doing it? Yeah. So for me, that was the gut check, number one. And number two, which is a part of what we take away from Warrior, which is trust the process. I didn't hire Coach Jesse, to come in here and go, oh yeah, I know that already. Thanks. I know that one already too. Thanks. I hired you and said, okay, I know where the guy's come from. I know the success that he's had in his life. He's already blazed the way. So I need to take the ego, put it on the shelf, and literally trust the process and do the work that's in front of me. And that was a big turning point. It's so crazy that it's that early on, right? Like within a week and a half. But that was a major turning point for me, because then I said, okay, this is actually cool. Now, as I go through moving, I'm just going to do the work that I'm supposed to do in terms of videos and adding some friends and things like that. I'm going to do that basic stuff and not stress myself out about everything else. And I'm just going to do this foundational work and just do what I'm told. Trust the process, do it. If you look at my journal, I have a journal every single day. It's called Reflect and Project. I have written the same thing for almost 3 months, which is trust the process, do the work. It's what's your greatest revelation or lesson learned in the day. Trust the process, do the work. Trust the process, do the work. I've written that every day for almost 3 months now. And Wow. It's the most basic phrase, but it hit me so hard that I'm like, okay, when you start to think that you are getting it, realize that you don't. Humble yourself and keep trusting the process and doing the work.
For sure, man. So, let me ask you this. So we talk about financial results, which obviously is huge, big reason why you're here, but what has been some other results in your life since you joined the program?
You know what? Probably the greatest for me is the camaraderie of the group, actually, because there's some really cool people in there. And one of the things that I started doing, like 5 years ago when I went through Warrior was I made the conscious decision back then that I was like, man, if I want to be a high performance coach for chiropractors and I want to teach them how to really have it all in their life, I got to go outside the profession, because nobody inside the profession seems to understand it. So
Right.
that's one of the things that pulled me out so many years ago, was that. And then now what's so cool is because I'm in a group of, yeah, there's chiropractors in there, but there's real estate agents in there. There's like, there's just so many, you can't even list them all. It's just, there's so many great people in there. There's so many people who are there for the right reason, and that's to help more people. And I love being around purpose-driven people. That's something that fires me up. And so that's probably one of the greatest things, is this tribe that's been created. And, as you know, Jesse, in March, we had some personal things that took place in our lives. And, here I am 5 weeks in the program, and it's like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm laying in my bed with tears in my eyes. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the group. Now, I don't really know anybody yet, but yet
Right.
it was a place that I needed to go to turn to for my people. And like the responses were just so heartfelt. And it's just one of those things where when you find something like that, like, you want to hold on to it, because it's with all the mass chaos in the world, like, I can sit here and, I can keep pouring into other people, but if this is empty at the end of the day, AKA me, if I'm empty, then I'm constantly searching for something to help fill me up too.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need that support. And so that night I had, I'd been pouring into my family and pouring into work and pouring into myself. And then all of a sudden it felt empty, and I got to go there, and other people poured into me. And it was a really empowering thing that took place in that moment, because we all need that level of support in our lives. I didn't need anybody to save me. I just needed a little extra support.
Sure. I mean, we all, it's a great point, man. I think the power of a group is, it's a power of a team. Like, can you pick up other people on the team? It's not a matter of saving. It's a matter of like, hey, we're all going to, kind of hit a low at some point. I think the cool thing is that we have a group that's willing to support each other. And, you had some, very big things going on, and just the fact that you were able to lean into the group was, pretty amazing. And then to watch how other people respond, I mean, it makes you feel like you're in a family. It doesn't really make you feel like you're in a group, right? It makes you feel like you're part of a family, which is cool. So,
and that's from a coaching perspective. I mean, that's what I've always told my clients. Like, I need you to know, when you come in, you're coming in as a family member. So I'm like, you got something going down. I don't need you to wait until next week's call to let me know. Freaking call me, text me, email me, like, hey, this is the situation that's going on. Can I get some love? Can I get some prayers? Can we talk? That's the mentality I've always had as a coach. And that was kind of that one thing. It was already validated for me, but in that moment when that happened and people are pouring back into me, I'm like, this is the most congruent thing I could be a part of. I coach with a family mentality, and I'm a part of a program with a family mentality. That just works.
Yeah, for sure, man. Let me ask you this. What has been an unexpected result you've gotten out of this program that maybe when you originally got in, you weren't really thinking about, well, hey, this is one of the reasons I'm here?
Unexpected result. What a good question. I mean, really what I just said is probably the biggest thing, because I didn't expect any of that at all from the camaraderie standpoint. But I'm going to say from the experiential standpoint, I think, when you join, you're like, okay, there's 5 calls. Here's when they are, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I got 5 calls a week. And you said, be on this one, be on this one. And I think what's probably the unexpected part of that is like one of my favorite calls is Thursdays with Caleb. I love his calls. I love how he shares things. And that wasn't a part of the program when I came in. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday. So there's added value that nobody expected. I love added value that nobody expects. So that was unexpected. And it was a major thing, especially for me, it was a major thing in communication. And I'm a big time communication guy. So that was big. Tuesday calls with the guys is it's a great call. It's always, I always love hearing other people's stuff and what they're doing to navigate and go through it. But then also because now I'm out of my coaching chair and I'm sitting in the student chair. So it also allows me the opportunity to look at other styles and different ways of coaching, different ways of explaining things. And like, that's the kind of stuff that you don't really expect that when you're going in, unless you're open to it.
Right.
And I love being able to be a part of that. And then the different dynamics. You got Nick on Monday, so there's a different dynamic of how he approaches things and how you do. And I'm a student of coaching. Like that's one of the things I love is I'm a student of coaching and a student of sales. I love seeing people sell stuff. I absolutely love it. I love hearing how people phrase it. And so those are all takeaways that I wasn't signing up for those things, but those are things that I take away that they help me in my marketing and sales process, but they also help my clients. And that's what I love about every time I go out and I do high performance coaching. I love it because I know that it's also going to spill into my clients and it's going to help them to be able to do greater things too. And so that's probably the big thing.
Yeah, that's so good, man. That's so good. So let me ask you this. What would you tell, someone watching this that's maybe on the fence of, doing a program like this? What I will say, like, we're not a traditional marketing, it's not a traditional marketing program. So with that in mind, what would you tell someone who was kind of on the fence on whether or not they would do that? Commit and go. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, it's if you understand your vision and where it is that you want to go, because it's like people buy up based on emotion, right? But it's not just based on emotion. And it's based, like I said this earlier, like, is it congruent with where I want to go? Is this congruent with where I want to go? And if it is, then it's the right choice. What I love about what we do is it's connective marketing. Like it's relationship marketing. If you go back to, years ago, Gary Vee talking about, jab, 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 hook, like that's all relationship marketing. And that's actually what this is, but it's to a different degree or level than anybody else is doing it. And so if what you're looking for is more clients, more patients, more customers, whatever it is, then if you want them to make a commitment to you, then you better make a commitment to you. And that means you make the investment in a higher level program that's going to help you to get to where it is that you want to go. And so that's where this comes in. That's where commit and go comes in. Is like, then just commit and go, man. Like jump in, do the work, trust the process, do the work, trust the process, do the work, and you're going to get results. And it's like, you might not want to say it, but like within 30 days, if you're actually doing the work, you're going to get results.
Right.
Plain and simple, but you got to do the work. The first excuse that comes out of your mouth, add a week. Second one, add another week. And all you're doing is delaying your success by doing that. So if it's something that's congruent with what you want to create in your life and you're looking for to add or build your business, then it's a no-brainer. Just commit and go.
So good, man. So anything else that you want to add, about the program, about your experience so far, any of that stuff?
I guess just, you know what? Actually, what I'd rather say is thank you to you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
That's what I'd rather say, because you reached out at the right time. And that like, and hopefully somebody would feel my heartfelt emotion here, because again, it comes back to wanting to work with people who are congruent with you, people who are passionate, people who want to see you be successful. And like, that's what I've always thrived in being around. And there are many times in my life that I've gone it alone. Many. I didn't need to work with anybody else, and I've gone it alone. And there's chiropractors, real estate agents. There are people who are sitting in offices right now alone, thinking that they have to do it alone. And the bottom line is you don't.
Right.
And so that every time I've invested, and, you and I know you were in Warrior long before I was, but I had probably 5 years invested in Warrior. That because it's a tribe of people that I grew to know and love. And it's like, it's a matter of, can I find that group again? And so for me, it was easy because Jesse had been there, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've seen where this guy came from. And yet I still had to make the commitment and jump in. I still had to be the one who was going to commit to the work and do the work, because I can't point fingers at him. And,
right.
So that's why I say thank you, because what you did is you gave me the platform and the space that I needed to come in and be successful. And that I appreciate that about you. And so, that might not be the best, marketing type thing to say, but from a heartfelt perspective, I hope somebody would feel that and go, damn, that's what I want in my life. I think I need to be a part of it.
You know what, man? That's the best marketing thing I could ever get. So let me just say this, man. Number one, I'm super proud of you, what you've been through. we didn't really talk exactly about what you went through your first 6 weeks in the program. I know it. If you feel free to share it at some time, you do that. You don't have to do that on here, but the moves that you've made in that first 30 days to 6 weeks were probably some of the biggest moves, and not only like stressors that you could go through in your life. And the fact that you stayed committed to this program, to what you were doing, and you stayed committed to the vision that you set out when you first started. That is something that I respect. And the other thing that I really respect about you is your family, your kids, and your marriage are your first business. And so if you're listening to this, if that is not your first business and your first priority, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how much success you make in your business, because it's not going to feel fulfilled the same way as if you put your family and your marriage and your kids first. So that's one thing that I want to say about you that I really respect and that I really appreciate about you. So, thank you for being there. And that goes all the way back to, the last 5-6 years of what you've changed in your life.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. It's I had a conversation with a doc yesterday who told me that one of his mentors, they were at a seminar, and he pointed out a doctor sitting across the room, and the guy was successful, right? And the thing is that he had everything. He had all the physical things. He had the house, he had the cars, he had all the nice things. And his mentor looked at him and goes, but guess what he doesn't have? It's like, what? He said, family. He's been divorced twice.
Yeah.
Because he made it all about his have it all. And if that's your vision, that's fine. His have it all was to get all the stuff. And
right.
For so many people, I think in a world where they tell you you have to grind and you have to hustle, like you don't have to grind if it's purposeful. It's going to be hard work, but it's not grinding. You don't have to hustle if it's purposeful. And if you keep that perspective, at least that's my opinion. If you keep that perspective, then you also realize that purpose is my family, purpose is my health, purpose is my business, that I've got to take care of these other areas first. And when I do, that builds power into how I show up at work, because then I remember who I'm doing it for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the hustle and grind of any business is when you don't know any other way.
And then it feels like a grind.
Right. And so if we go back to that place, of, oh, I gotta hustle, or I gotta grind, it usually means we're out of alignment somewhere else.
Yep.
And it's putting a lot of extra pressure on us at work. And, it always traces back to, your home life. And that's why we hustle and grind, is
Absolutely.
because we're out of alignment. And it's like pulling an extra, like us on the mountain, packing that extra 20, 30 pounds around every day.
Yep.
So, well, hey man, like I said, totally respect what you're doing. Appreciate you being in our program and just being a leader. And then just seeing the changes that you're making, not only as a family man and keeping that your number one business, but also as a businessman. So just excited to see what you do in the next couple months coming up.
Me too. Big things are coming. I'm excited too. Thanks for everything.
Okay, bro.